In this video, I'm going to share my planning and productivity process, and I'm going to show you how I stay on top of things on a day-to-day basis to achieve everything that I've planned for myself that day, but also how I achieve my more long-term goals. Aside from the planning process and how I use my planner, I'm also going to show you how I journal. I love using journaling as a tool to create my dream life and to really reflect on the things that I want to do and the things I don't want to do. It helps me have more of an objective bird-eye view on what my intrinsic motivations are and where I see my life going. And I found that incredibly helpful in current times where we have to adopt a more of a self-starting mindset and we can't really rely on external factors that motivate us, like for example work environment, going to the office, having our daily routine of commuting. Instead of that, we have to kind of find that intrinsic motivation and discipline at home, working and studying from an environment that we usually associate with our personal and private life. So I hope this video is going to be helpful for everybody that is either working from home or studying from home. And without further ado, let's jump into things. First things first, we're going to talk about journaling. I think many people, when one talks about journaling, kind of thinks about the times you were a kid and you had a diary and you wrote, "Dear diary, this is what happened to me today." Even though there's nothing wrong with that style of writing, and I definitely sometimes still do that, I think journaling can be way more than that. And I love to use journaling as a tool to create my dream life. If you use this as a daily or weekly journaling exercise, you're slowly becoming aware of what you want and where you want to go. And when you're aware of things, you can also start incorporate those habits and those actions and those tasks in your day-to-day life, and thereby also getting closer to those goals. If you struggle with starting with journaling, one thing that I can really recommend is this very short and sweet course from Skillshare called Writing for Self-Discovery. It's created by Yasmin Sheehan, which is a writer, speaker, and self-healing advocate. And she shares her technique of journaling, and she gives you 6 journaling prompts for growth and gratitude. I found this course really inspiring to journal more and also to kind of use journaling for self-care rather than just documenting my days. And that's why I'm really excited that I'm actually partnering with Skillshare for this video. If you don't know what Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people. You can explore new skills, develop existing interests, and get lost in your creativity. Skillshare has lots of creative challenges and productivity classes that you can take, and they can also help you structure your time and set up achievable goals. You can also connect with fellow creatives and enter a community of encouragement, communication, and inspiration. So if you want to expand your knowledge, Skillshare is honestly a very easy and accessible way to do it. And I'm really excited that I'm also able to give you guys a good deal, because the first 1,000 people to use the link in my description box will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership. And after that, it's only about $10 a month. So using the course that I just mentioned is a great way to start with journaling. But another easy way to journal is by incorporating it in your morning and nighttime routine with just a few easy questions. So for my journaling session in the morning, I write down these 3 things. First, I set an intention for the day. This can be anything that you're feeling that day. For example, today I wrote down, "I am loved," because I needed some love. Then I write down 3 things that will bring me joy today. Last but not least, I also write down 3 goals for that day. This can be again as big or as small as you want to make it. So for my night journaling session, I also have 3 different prompts. First of all, I start with practicing gratitude. I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for today. And I find this a very grounding exercise because especially if I feel overwhelmed or I'm anxious, practicing gratitude kind of makes me go back down to earth and see a different side of life and make me realize how much I have to be grateful for. Next up, I also write down 3 things that I have achieved that day. Writing down what you achieved that day really creates a positive and successful mindset that is going to motivate you and make you feel like you have a purpose. And last but not least, I also like to add some reflection. So I write down what would have made today a better day. Do you know that feeling that you just read or see something and that completely changes your perspective on something? That's what happened to me when I learned about consuming versus creating versus connecting. The 3 C's, as I like to call it. In this age of social media and everything digital, our day-to-day activities, from personal life to work life, can be summed up by consuming content, or creating content, or connecting with people, also often through content. If you take a typical day in your life, ask yourself this question. On a day-to-day basis, how much time do I spend consuming content? Which means, how much time do I spend on social media, scrolling on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. It can also be watching Netflix shows or even reading a book. These are all different forms of content that you consume. Then ask yourself, how much time do you spend creating content? Since I'm a content creator, this question is especially relevant to me, but even if you don't work in a creative field, you're still creating content on a day-to-day basis. From writing essays to preparing presentations. This is all content that you create. And then last but not least, connecting. Connecting obviously stands for communication with others. How much time do you spend feeling connected to people? In current times, this is obviously mostly virtual. In an ideal world, these 3 C's are in balance. So your time is equally distributed between consuming, creating, and connecting with content. When I first heard about this theory and I asked myself this question, I realized that I spend so much more time consuming content than creating it. And it makes sense. We live in a day and age where we, on a daily basis, are overwhelmed with information. But taking a step back and realizing that by consuming all this content, we have no time to either create or connect with this content makes you realize how important it is to have this balance, especially in a creative field, but again, this applies to any type of sector you work in. For now, I'm going to leave it here, but this would be a great prompt for a self-care exercise for journaling. Just saying. The next philosophical food for thought that I have for you is to create your ideal week of your life. One of the things people love to watch, especially also on my channel, are routine videos, day in the life, and week in the life videos. And I think the reason why these videos are so popular among so many different people is because they give people some sort of structure that they can use and adapt to fit their own life. And this is all really great because it kind of deals with us feeling lost and uncertain about life. I don't want to make this too existential and too philosophical, but most of the time we have no idea what we're doing. So if we see other people having a very structured day-to-day routine, we want to apply that to our own life. But instead of looking at other people and how they have their day-to-day routine, how often do you actually think about what your ideal week in your life would be? And that is this exercise. Again, great for journaling. This exercise is so helpful if you are a freelancer or self-employed like me, but especially in current times, I think it is relevant to everybody. Grab your journal or even a piece of paper and write out all the days of the week on there. Once you have done that, start writing down what you would like to do throughout the week. I personally recommend having dedicated days to a certain task. Monday is the first day of the week, obviously, and usually it is the day that I have lots of emails to catch up on because businesses are open again. So I always make sure that on Monday I tackle my mailbox. Then on Tuesday I like to dedicate my whole day to YouTube. That is because usually I like to upload on Wednesdays. So on Tuesdays I'm either planning out a video, filming a video, editing a video, or all above. Then on Wednesdays I like to shoot content for my other platforms, so this can be Instagram or TikTok. Thursday for me is a miscellaneous day where I spend time on whatever project I'm focusing on that time. This can be my Supplied by Lily Stationery webshop, but also my Instagram and photography ebook that I'm working on, as well as my philosophy podcast. Friday is a little bit of a random day because this is kind of a day that I usually take off, but sometimes I can be quite overloaded with work, so I find myself working on this day. But normally I take this day off. And the reason why I take my Fridays off is because on Saturday I'm most of the time working, and Sunday is always my life admin day. So this is the day that I clean, this is the day that I do my bookkeeping, make sure that all my bills are paid, anything like that I do on Sunday. So this is my ideal week in the life, but I encourage you to think for yourself and do this exercise yourself. Again, great journaling prompt. And the last food for thought I'm going to leave you with today, before we're going to jump into how I actually plan, is that instead of focusing on motivation, you should focus on discipline. Doing something that you feel motivated for is great. But unfortunately, motivation comes and goes. And if we would only do our work when we feel motivated, I can guarantee you we won't be that productive on a day-to-day basis. So instead of focusing on boosting your motivation, start focusing on becoming disciplined. And a way for me to become more disciplined really easily is by creating a daily routine before we start our workday. I think at this point in time I can call myself the routine queen because I have so many routine videos on my channel. But the reason why I film these videos so many times is because I do believe that having a structured routine every morning or every night is so beneficial for your day-to-day productivity. And creating a routine doesn't have to be intimidating or boring. I actually love to romanticize my routine. This can be by making myself a fancy oat milk latte every morning or giving myself a mini facial in the morning when I do my skincare routine. It can even be as simple as burning a nice scented candle. Whatever keeps you going and whatever makes you feel good, you should add to your day-to-day routine. And if you have this daily ritual that you have to stick to on an everyday basis before you start your work or your studies, I promise you, you're going to feel so much more disciplined to work, even if you feel unmotivated. So that is all my philosophical food for thought, and I hope I left you with enough to think about. Now it is time to jump into how I actually plan. The way that I plan my days is a combination of paper planning and digital planning. I'm going to be quite biased here, but the best planner that I ever encountered is the planner that I made myself for my Supplied by Lily Stationery line. I literally cannot live without this thing, and I've been using it for about 6 years now. Crazy how time flies. This planner comes in a student version as well as a professional version, a lifestyle version. And we have a smaller size, which is the regular desk planner, as well as the desk planner grande, which is my current favorite because it is just so spacious and I totally love that. What I love about this planner is that it has a great overview both on a monthly basis as well as on a weekly basis. It also shows you all your deadlines, your to-do lists, and your reminders. So you have a very good bird's eye view of everything that you need to do that week or month. And the planner comes in a bunch of different prints that are so aesthetically pleasing and really are an eye catcher on your desk. So if you're interested and you want to see more, definitely check out the link in the description box. We pretty much ship worldwide and we also offer free shipping. So if you're curious, check it out and let me know if you're planning on ordering. Aside from my planner, I also use a regular to-do list because sometimes I just kind of need a brain dump and I need to write down everything that I need to do. Or if I'm doing a very specific task like cleaning or taking photos or shooting B-roll for a particular video, I need a list of all the scenes, all the shots that I want. So I love using a to-do list for that. And I'm also using my Supplied by Lily Stationery to-do list in luxurious lilac floral for this. So when I start with planning, the first thing that I do is create a monthly overview. This is very important because it gives me an overall feel for what kind of month I'm going to have. Is this a month that is going to be very important or busy with work life? Or can I take a little bit more of my free time here? I just fill out all the tasks that I already have planned out, and I also spend some time brainstorming about new content creation ideas, so I plan out some of my videos and Instagram posts. Also, if I have any sponsorships already planned for the month, I write them here down as well, so I don't forget deadlines. I also spend some time setting an intention for myself and thinking about the goals that I want to achieve this month, even though time is quite an interesting topic and in a way just a social construct created by humankind for economic reasons. I do feel like every month kind of has a different energy. For example, the 28th of February feels completely different to me than the 1st of March. So that is why I find it very important to set a monthly intention and kind of look at the vibe that that month has. Next up is my finances overview. Now, I haven't really talked that much about finances on my channel before, but one thing that is inevitable about being an entrepreneur and being your own boss is making sure that all your finances are in check. So that is why every month, at the beginning of the month as well as at the end of the month, I spend time reflecting on my financial situation the past month, but I also budget for the upcoming month. Especially as a freelancer, your finances are so important and quite time consuming. So that is why I always do this on a monthly basis to make sure that I'm not forgetting everything and that everything is still in check. I write down all my fixed expenses, like my rent, my insurance, and I also write down my variable costs. This is the gas and electricity that I use that month, but also the amount of money that I spend on travel. And with that, I just mean my Uber costs and maybe going on a staycation. I'm not really traveling anywhere else. And as a freelancer, you usually have multiple income streams. This can be collaborations, so sponsorships that I have on my YouTube channel, as well as my Instagram and my other social media platforms. And also, for example, the income that I get from photography or freelance jobs. I also find it really important to save a set amount of money every month. So after planning out my finances, it is time to delve into my weekly overview. So for my weekly overview, I go into more details. I write down all the deadlines that I have and I use my monthly overview for that. I also write down certain reminders or errands that I need to do, content that I need to create, other deadlines that I have, and also more personal things such as maybe doing something with my boyfriend or a friend. I also really recommend writing down little things that you want to emphasize and prioritize that week. If you want to create a habit of writing in your journal, for example, on a day-to-day basis, if you want to spend more time on self-care, if you want to go on a hike 3 times a week, write that also all down. Whatever you want to work on, feel free to write that in your planner, even if it's just a little thing. And speaking of creating habits, last but not least, I also look at my habit tracker. Using a habit tracker is great if you want to incorporate something new into your day-to-day routine. It takes 30 days to develop a habit. Creating a habit tracker and tracking your progress every day is going to help you so much in actually incorporating these habits in your day-to-day routine. And that is the end of my productivity and planning routine, how I use my planner as well as my journal. I hope this video brought you some new perspective and knowledge you can adopt in your day-to-day workflow or routine. And if it did, it would be awesome if you could share that with me in the comments down below. I love reading that. I would also love to connect with you on my Instagram because I'm pretty much on Instagram on a day-to-day basis and I love chit-chatting with you. My Instagram is LilyLikeCom and I'm also active on TikTok and I'm planning on posting way more there too, so follow me there as well, which is Lilia. Lastly, I wanted to give you a gentle reminder that if you are currently still looking for a planner, notebooks, or any type of stationery, definitely check out my Supplied with Lily stationery store because we do ship worldwide and I'm pretty sure you're going to love the products. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye to you and I hope to see you soon in a new video. Bye guys!